Hello and welcome back to My Mom's Basement. After a week off, it is myself, Robbie Fox, and Clem, and we are happy to be back to recap The Acolyte. We're going to do last week's episode that we didn't recap, as well as this week's episode. I will say we'll probably be shorter on the recaps than usual because not a whole lot has happened, like in both episodes. I mean, we'll get into all of that. Clem, how we feeling?
Bob, there's some times when we do this job, this dream job that we have, where I'm like, all right, that probably was a little excessive. And I think ending, and not even having our holiday break, but I think an episode for last week's episode of The Acolyte, if it was just in the middle of the regular work week, would have felt like a lot. We would have had to find some filler to go around it. So I think it kind of worked out perfectly. Good to be back in the basement, though. I mean, we're back in the basement every Sunday for House of the Dragon recaps, obviously. And we have a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. But yeah, I think we did it right. We did it right. You know,
And
back in the basement
check
now.
out those check out those House of the Dragon recaps that we've been doing along with Kevin. We had Connor Griffin on this week, Nick Hamilton, as always. They're very fun to do, and this season has been awesome. So if you're not into House of the Dragon, I really think it's worth getting into. Like, dive down into the basement, do a deep dive, and watch the whole season one, binge it. Watch season two, get in the basement for the recaps. We dress up for them. Clem's got different costumes every week. They are one of my favorite things that we do. I think they're a blast.
Robbie looks like a sexy little minx in his blonde wig.
Also, a big announcement for the basement. Huge announcement. Also, if you're a wrestling fan, I did an episode with Jared Carabas. So check that out from the top rope, back as always. But a huge announcement for the basement. We have been given the invite to the Deadpool and Wolverine world premiere in New York City. It's the Monday before the movie comes out. We will be seeing it. So as soon as you guys see Deadpool and Wolverine on premiere night, when you get back in your car, you'll have a podcast ready to rip for the commute home.
And the last time we did this, baby, was for Quantum Mania. Shit. So hopefully, hey, we know where the floor is for this.
Yeah.
For this, we were so excited. We're like, we're gonna have the pod ready for them, and then we're like, but I told Ryan Reynolds said this is the best movie he's ever done, which again could just be him literally saying, I'm just going to say this so you can put it out to get everyone excited. This is the best movie I've ever done. Still gives me all the hope. Our boy, who's the guy who wrote the X-Men movies that we love?
Matthew Vaughn.
Matthew Vaughn, our God and Savior himself. What was his name? I can't
Yep.
remember. So as long as he says it's good, that's all I care about. Also,
Yeah,
a
so
little
that's
bit
going
of
to be very exciting.
another programming note that I think we should bring up, just kind of going back to the Acolyte and every week, along with some Marvel stuff. I think we should I haven't talked about this. I'm kind of looking to hear your thoughts. Agatha, after the trailer, I think we can maybe do a post-season recap of it all. If like after two episodes, we're like, holy shit, this is the best TV show I've ever seen. Maybe then we dive in and do some quick hitters, or even throw it in an episode. I don't think we need to do the weeklies for that. Is that agreed on your end?
I think I agree with that, and I hope the listeners are cool with that because I watched that trailer and I wasn't super disappointed in the trailer, but the first half of it with Agatha, kind of the fallout of WandaVision, Aubrey Plaza in the morgue room, that was all pretty cool. And I was like, all right, this seems like it's going to be a cool kind of horror Halloween show. It's hitting at Halloween time, end of September or into October. And then the second half of the trailer with her and the kids felt so like Disney Channel original movie. What was that movie with The Rock where he took the kids to race to the Witch Mountain?
Yes,
You remember
yeah,
that at all? It felt
yep.
like that a little bit too much, where I was like, ooh, I hope this isn't cheaper by the dozen and witch terms or whatever. So yeah, I think as of right now, we might plan to just recap the season of that altogether instead of doing a week by week breakdown. And we'll think of more fun things to do around that time as well, because the Penguin is going to be hitting in September. I would probably rather break that show down. We're going to have the Joker coming out in October, Joker 2. We're going to have Caped Crusader, the new Batman cartoon, coming out in August. I don't know if we'll do week by week recaps of that. I assume not, but we'll do, an end of season recap for that as well. We got a lot of fun nerd stuff coming up still, in the horizon. Is
Yep,
that
and
in the horizon?
That's the
That's
horizon. I
forward,
think that's fair
backwards.
to say. We're no, we're forward. You're very good, Bob. You did. I love when we try to figure out like third grade words, and we like
Yeah.
both of us on the podcast, and we talk through it. I think I read somewhere that Penguin comes out the day after Agatha. Is that true?
That would line up. I think that would make sense. Yeah.
Which like I kind of want it to be a head to head, and I'll tell you right now, based on the trailers, DC's ahead right now.
Way ahead. Way ahead. The trailer for Penguin looks like the greatest show I've ever seen in my entire life. And there's rumors that Pattinson was on set. Maybe Batman is even in the show for an episode or two. Probably shows up at the finale. I think I mentioned it on the podcast before, but there was a tweet when the trailer came out that was like, this show is going to, showcase the empire of the Penguin and Oswald Cobblepot building up to this huge kingpin level. And then Batman's just going to come beat the piss out of him at the end.
That would be awesome. By the way, that like stretch you discussed with Penguin, the Joker, and then the cartoon, that is Bob Fox like mania right there. Which, by the way, Bob Fox mania was yesterday. Happy birthday, Bob! 26 years young. That's once you hit 27, Bob. I'm gonna feel extra old because I remember you were just a little pup in the Barstool office. What 7 years ago now, give or take?
It'll be 8 in October.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, pretty crazy. I'm in my late 20s now. Everyone was saying, like, late 20s, you're basically 40 now. So, my age is finally matching my personality, I guess.
Yep.
Because I did last night. Like, my girlfriend was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to play some Spider-Man video games. I did that. She got me the cables for Rocksmith, which I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like Guitar Hero, but you play with your real instrument. It's crazy.
Oh, that's
you plug my
incredible.
bass in, and I was playing fuck Chris Daughtry. I'm going home. It was great. And then I wanted to just end the night by watching Empire Strikes Back. And I didn't know. Usually I like watching one of my favorite movies on my birthday. I didn't know which one I would want to watch, whether it'd be Empire Strikes Back or The Dark Knight. Depending on the day, I'm going to go back and forth. After watching The Acolyte, I wasn't so down on it. I wasn't like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen, but I was just like, I would like to end my day with some good Star Wars, some great Star Wars, even the best Star Wars that there's ever been. And I had a great time. I fell asleep. Like the last thing I remember was Yoda lifting the X-Wing out of the water, out of the swamp. And it was like the most peaceful, greatest music crescendo I could have fallen asleep to. I felt like it was like dandelions and gumdrops dancing in my head, or whatever they say. And 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. But yeah, it was perfect birthday, chill birthday.
That's a beautiful thing. Nice, like Empire to end the night. That's like a nice big piece of your favorite birthday cake right there. So perfect way.
And
to
I
finish
fell
it
asleep before Luke got his hand cut off, before Han got frozen in the carbonite. Like, for all I knew last night, my dream world, it was like, oh, the heroes are gonna win.
Everything's gravy. That's how everyone knows Empire is the upper of the Star Wars original Star Wars trilogy.
All right, so let's get into The Acolyte. We got 2 episodes to recap, the first of which being episode 6. It was Teach/Corrupt, but I'm going to call it the Parent Trap episode. We ended, the one before it with them pulling the Parent Trap, and this is the one where it kind of plays out. It begins with Osha waking up on this mystery planet. And a lot of people are saying, is it Octo? It kind of looks like Hawktua, something like that. I don't think it is. Some people are saying, though, it might be this planet Baldemnik. And they wouldn't say that. They say in every location, they'll say the name of the planet, but this one was just mystery. They wouldn't say it, maybe, because that one plays heavily into the Plagueis story. Darth Plagueis realized this planet had large riches of cortosis, that metal that Chimera is using. So we saw cortosis in this episode. It is an ocean planet with this kind of rocky structure. Could be a thing there. Could be something to keep an eye on. I know I brought up the Knights of Ren early on in this podcast, and they did use Kylo Ren's theme in episode 5. So maybe I was onto something there. But I think right now, like Knights of Ren and Darth Plagueis are at even odds, I would say.
Yep, that's fair. That's what they're listing in Vegas right now. I also loved if it was just named the Mystery Planet, and they're like, "Shit, Mystery Planet." Oh yeah. Is that in the?
Like, there has to be a reason, right? You would just give it a dumb name if it was just a dumb planet.
And you know what system that's in? Mystery Planet. The
Parts
Lando
Unknown.
system. Lando
Oh,
system. There is a Lando system. There actually is one.
is there?
No,
I
but
thought
it
you were
was in
gonna
my
say
mind
parts
now.
unknown, like you bring it to WWE,
Ultimate
like if you just
Warrior.
want someone to be more interesting. Yeah, Mystery Planet, hailing from Mystery Planet. And there were some Last Jedi vibes here. I know I don't mean to bring it up every podcast, but when you see Chimere just get naked and go for a swim, I was like, oh, this is a bit of Ben Swolo happening here on Octo. But yeah, he goes for a naked swim, and we see this nasty scar on his back that has kind of like a snake type design. It's curved scar, and he implies that he got it from someone that abandoned him, threw him to the side. So you're like former master, Jedi, lightsaber, but it's a weird scar that to me looks like it was given by a light whip. And I know
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the first to have that theory. A lot of people are saying the same thing, but it's even why would you put a light whip in the show if there wasn't a purpose for it? Because they haven't, it's not like Vernestra's been fucking Indiana Jones with that thing. Like we saw it in maybe one quick scene, which I'm also grateful about because, like I said, I feel like that's the sort of thing that people that hate the Acolyte would never shut the fuck up about.
Yeah. What do they call it when they introduced a gun and it's going to be used? What's a literary device for that?
Chekhovs.
Chekhov. This is Chekhov's lightsaber whip. It came
Yeah,
out. We have the clues there, and we have, by the way, one episode left, which is wild yet
I
also
know.
welcome.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we just
That's a
say
good
this
way of putting
too?
it.
Can we just say this? I think was the last one we reviewed the one with Ken Jack with the
Yeah,
lightsaber fight. That unless next week is fucking awesome, that will be the high point of the season. Just
I almost texted you
call
that
it what
this
it is.
morning. I am like word for word. I almost said like it seems like that was probably the peak. Like we went up,
Yep.
and then we're kind of going down. I hope the finale is a little, bump up from the penultimate, but we'll recap the penultimate. It did not feel like a penultimate at all.
No, it most certainly did not. What was the name of the Padawan that got killed? Jackie, right?
Jackie, yeah, that was X-23.
Somebody said her Wikipedia entry was the lightsaber going through her back, but
Oh
it's not. It's not.
no.
That would have been hilarious if that was like the main entry. It's just Jackie. It's just a fucking bop, 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 the old triple bot she got.
Something about that I actually meant to bring up on this podcast. MT from the Heavy Spoiler Show did a breakdown of the Acolyte, and he pointed out that when he killed Jackie, it was like a triangle. It was like boom, 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 and there's triangles all over the witch's coven, like everywhere. They have
Oh,
triangles, so it might be a hint that is Mother Coral or whatever. Is that his mom? Did she try to create someone, banish him to the side because he was too into the dark side, and then they figured out Osha and Mae? That's also something to keep an eye on. I think he could have a relation to the Witch's Coven. Obviously, in the penultimate, Mother Coral, very sus. But another question I have about Chimere is he old as fuck? Because in this episode that we're recapping now, the one where he goes for the swim, he says, like, oh, that was a very long time ago. And he could just be, exaggerating like we do on this podcast. But he said it in a way where I was almost like, "Ooh, is he actually not as young as he looks? Is he the old witch from Snow White, and he's gonna fucking turn into an old hag all of a sudden?" Like that would be kind of an interesting twist for him.
I mean, Darth Plagueis has the fucking, live forever manual out there. At this point, might be a little more fresher, all that
Uh
kind of magic. So I could see that. Oh boy, oh boy. Rob
oh.
confirmed Sith for those watching on YouTube or
Confirms
Rumble
Darth
right there.
Plagueis.
Live forever, right on the collarbone tattooed.
Yeah, sus. That's sus. Can't deny it.
You're sus. You are sus. I will say this though, and this kind of is good if you're going down that path. I every episode I just like more and more like the Sith. Hate them. I don't know if it's I like the Sith more or hate the Jedi more, but the way Chimere was spitting, I'm like, yeah, man, you raised some very valid points. Some where the old like Vader Emperor, they made it like evil bad, and that's granted the way life was in the 70s and 80s and movies and stuff. Now they're mixing a lot more gray in, so I appreciate that.
And credit to this guy, the first few episodes when we kind of were able to tell, like, oh, this bumbling idiot is going to be the Sith Lord, I was kind of like, I hope he's not. Like, it seems obvious, but I hope he's not because this is just stupid. This guy's an idiot. I really like him now. Like when he's not acting like, shop owner idiot that's just trying to get the Acolyte along on her journey to the boss. I'm like, this guy's kind of fucking cool. Maybe it was the one we did with Ken Jack 2 weeks ago that just now has put him in this upper echelon for me where he's slicing and dicing and killing, and he's jacked and he's got a cool helmet. But yeah, I think he's actually a pretty cool Sith Lord, or I
I
don't know if he is Sith, whatever he is.
Good acting. I like everything about the
Yeah,
guy. I think it's like him and Saul are like a cut above everyone else for me.
yeah,
So I don't even know who else is even in the mix. Like even our boy Kalnakia or whatever, the Wookiee. It's like
Wookiee, yeah.
he's it's awesome Wookiee Jedi, but the character only could do so much on screen. And like all the other Jedi, I either hate them or I kind of dislike them. The witches, don't even get me started on the witches right now. So there's a lot of people I don't like in this show. Saul and Chimere are by far my two favorite people. I honestly could care less about the twins too. I could honestly care
Also,
less.
the like official Lucasfilm name they're giving the Sith Lord for now, pretty cool. They're calling him the Stranger, which is a little scary. Like
Oh,
he has like horror vibes and stuff. Like I feel like when they tried to put the child for Baby Yoda or Grogu, we were all kind of like, we're not calling him the child. When I heard the Stranger, I was like, ooh, that's kind of fucking cool.
let me see if I can get this here. I don't know how it's going to come out on the mic. Little Billy Joel for you, the Stranger.
It came through. I could hear it on the mic. That was good enough.
AJ learned how to whistle.
um,
He's a fucking kindergartner. He learned
oh,
how to
did
whistle. It's
he?
the most amazing thing. He just whistles all the time now. It's awesome. I love whistling. I am a great whistler. I love whistling. It's one of my favorite things in the world. I think Frankie Borelli claims to be like the best whistler at Barstool. There was going to
He
be a
is. He's
whistle off
really
at one
good.
point, I believe. We'll see. Bob, don't worry. Your buddy here. I'm just saying, if money is placed, throw a couple bucks on this guy.
Okay. Okay. Chimere actually kind of seems like he's pulling Osha to the dark side in this episode. Like he gets her to put the helmet on, and we get the first person, like her putting it on. I'm like, oh shit. He explains the helmet being a blind helmet too, which is the Jedi Padawan thing. And I like the thought of that, but it is like you're just putting on a blind ass helmet, blinding yourself. Like eventually when you die, you're gonna wish you were able to see.
Definitely. What's the word I'm using? Pride is before the fall or whatever. That feels. I just pulled a fucking legit saying out there on the fly. I don't think I screwed it up either. I I thought that was pretty bad. I'm like, he waxed all those Jedi, not even be able to see him. Probably made the Force stronger. So I like again, point Chimere, point Chimere. This guy is just racking them up. It is Monstars in the first half against the Toon Squad. He is just making me like, and the fact that she just tries it on, I'm like, what are we doing here? Are you looking
Yeah.
to become a Sith Lord? Because throwing on the mask feels like that's like one step away from just making a red lightsaber.
And that's more or less their entire storyline for this episode. Like this episode really felt like the first half of an episode that was supposed to
Mm-hmm.
continue when credits rolled. And the other storyline you get is May and Soul going back to the Jedi. She's always kind of like trying to backstab him, but he's like, oh, take control of the ship or do this or grab that. She grabs Pip at one point, and then Basil kind of
Oh,
gets onto her. And yeah, and they make the Pip, the light goes from white to red when
that
it's
was
like
fucked up.
being controlled by her. I was like, oh, of course, it's like C3PO with the red
The,
eyes.
the factory reset button, that was not cool.
That was not cool. Eventually, with the help of Basil, he's able to catch her and hit her with the stun by the end of the episode. They also reveal, like, and I'm just mentioning this because I think it'll be played later. Vernestra can like see visions of the future when they go through light speed because they're like, oh, like let's go through light speed. Like, I hope you don't get sick. And she's like, I don't get sick. I just get like unsettled. And apparently, it's from the High Republic books. Shout out to the Heavy Spoiler Show for pointing this out, that she can see, like whenever she goes through hyperspace, she gets little visions of the future. Maybe why she's also so worried about this. She's like, oh fuck, we better shut this down because I'm getting visions of the Sith coming back.
There's a problem there. Okay, that makes sense. I had no clue about that. So yeah. Sounds
Again, not much happens in this whole episode, though. That's kind of like the whole recap. And part of the reason why me and Clem were going back and forth. Do we do a recap 4th of July week? We were both like away with family, and are we scrambling to do it? And this episode didn't feel worthy of it, really.
it would have been a 15-minute episode, and it's like, do we really
Yeah,
want to
like
just do a
nothing
15-minute
happened.
episode? And then I'm just griping like an old. I didn't want to become the old man. I was yelling at my kids enough. I don't want to be yelling about Star Wars. We've already gone over that bridge enough times. This has been a consistent issue we've had though, where it's like the pacing's off, or it feels like 2 episodes could have been made 1. Also, at the same time though, I'm also the guy. It's like I like seeing 32 minutes instead of an hour. So it's like I really can't get on them too much. If it was maybe a binge where they're all released at once, or maybe you have 2 episodes released the same night, it would alleviate that. So it kind of feels like it's continuous, but at the same point, whatever. Who cares? Like, we got over it. We're fine. They're
And
not worried about the
also,
recap shows when they're making these
no,
episodes.
no. But how many episodes of The Mandalorian were 30 minutes that we loved? Season 1 especially, where it left us being like, you can't do the 30-minute episodes. We need more. They, left us asking for more. Andor had a couple shorter episodes that were great. You just got to use that time more wisely. Like, it's almost impressive that they're able to fill up 30 minutes and feature very little character development, very little scenes that you would want to go back and rewatch. Like that one episode, episode 5, I would go back and rewatch that in 20 minutes, like that in a heartbeat. If someone said, "Do you want to watch that lightsaber battle again?" Fuck yeah, I want to watch the stranger slicing and dicing in the forest. This one, if someone said, "You want to rewatch it?" I would be like, "You got to remind me what happened there," and I just recapped it for 20 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you 100%. It's, again, I don't know whose fault it is. I'm just along for the ride at this point.
All right, before we get into the penultimate episode, episode 7, let's tell everyone about Game Time yet again. I actually used Game Time, kind of. I was given tickets on the Yak to Alanis Morissette this past week, and they were purchased through Game Time. I was able to go. It was a hell of a show. She tore the house down. I don't want to like disrespect Alanis by this, but I was shocked by how sold out it was. When you go to an amphitheater show and the lawn can just fill up, the lawn was like an ocean of people. You couldn't see any grass. It was just people. But fantastic show. Alanis is the friggin' queen. You can also get tickets to pretty much anything on Game Time, not just concerts, sports, music, comedy, theater events near you. I just pulled up, if you're in the area, I live in Jersey City. There's an emo night happening in Jersey City this Friday, July 12th. You could get in the door for $26 each. That's an amazing night, fun night out for you and your date. Go there, just you and your friend. Go there, have a fun time, listen to some
Go by
emo music,
yourself.
pop some
You don't have to
music,
go with
or by
anybody. Go
yourself.
by
True.
yourself.
Go
Don't be
meet a friend
ashamed.
there. Go meet the love of your life there. Go meet just the DJ. I'm sure it's like someone we know, maybe Guns is DJ in there.
Don't you
You
loner
shouldn't have
shame,
to
Bob
worry.
Fox. Don't you
No,
loner
I
shame.
would never. I've gone to emo nights alone. I've gone to concerts alone. I've gone to movies alone. I don't think I've ever done a sport alone, but I wouldn't be opposed. I would do that. Yeah.
I actually went
Buy
to
buy
a
yourself a single ticket.
I went to Wrigley Field by myself because it was like everyone, like that day we had to do our Snack Boys, which watch Snack Boys on
Yep.
Twitter,
New
Instagram,
series from
YouTube,
Clem.
whatever it may be. Me and Eddie just eating snacks, and I got there. It was like the third inning. We were still recording. I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just get a ticket for cheap." You just go by yourself, and it's a Game Time. It's cheaper tickets you find anywhere else. It's a beautiful thing.
There you go. They have the flash deals for sudden discounts, the zone deals for when you're feeling flexible, and their lowest price guarantee, which means that if you can find tickets for the same seats, the same tickets for less anywhere else, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time is the best place for last minute seats with up to 60% off your favorite events. I'll buy those emo night tickets right now. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code MMB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the person who tweeted me, but somebody tweeted us this past week, and they said they were using the code for Harry Potter and the Cursed Child on Broadway, which I was like, oh, what a perfect use of the My Mom's Basement code to go see something a little nerdy, a little in that nerd realm.
We gotta have Keegs on one day. Chop. Well, you're not even. I was gonna say Harry Potter like day or something. But you're not even a Harry Potter guy, are you?
I'm not. I watched all the movies for the first time in the past like year or two. Like I had seen the first one, I had seen the second one. I think I probably saw like the first 4 and then fell off at some point. And then my girlfriend was like, "Oh, I think you'd probably like them. Let's go through the whole series." And she was definitely right. They were great movies, especially by the end. Like it's very similar to like a superhero movie, and almost like the battles
Yeah.
happening and the characters returning, and you don't know who's dead and who's coming back from the dead. And it was great. Great stuff.
Beautiful.
All right, let's recap the penultimate episode now. This one was titled Choice, and as soon as I saw the episode title, I realized it was going to be a flashback, and half of me was like, all right, we're going to find out what happened. The other half of me was like, uh-oh, we didn't like the flashback episode last time, and they're probably going to do the whole episode in a flashback, and that's exactly what they did here. In the episode description, it also said, like, the truth is revealed. It said something like reveal was in the description. So I was like, all right, we're getting answers. We're going to figure out what happened. Final episode of Battle. I know we got some answers in this episode. We did not get enough answers for my liking. In terms of, like, I ended it and I was like, oh, the whole story that we were waiting to see the other side of happened pretty much like we saw in episode 3. Just there were a few changes here and there, like the soul moment and Anasaya. That was a big moment, but like everything else was pretty much like we figured.
Okay, because I wanted to make sure that was the case. I'm like, this is what we all thought was gonna what had happened, and we thought we were gonna find something like, oh, well, that is why everything went awry. That was something we didn't see. No, pretty much by the book. So
Yeah.
murder, like mystery show, that's I got to take like a point off, like in terms of execution there. Kind of
Like
left me
there
wanting
better
more.
be some more mystery in 8. But like even if there is more mystery in 8, it's like, why frame this as the reveal? I don't know. Let's just get into it because
We and listen, I'm
yeah.
just gonna make this plea now. In 8, just wrap everything up. Don't leave like if you have
Yeah,
to do stuff
please.
where it's like
Ugh.
there might be something with the Sith or with this that like that is more originy. That's fine. Like don't be like maybe there's another season because I'm not gonna watch.
Yeah, again, I don't think this show and even these 2 episodes are nearly as bad as the biggest detractors will make them out to be. It's not unwatchable. It's just these 2 episodes I would give maybe like a 3 out of 10, where it's like it's just good enough to make me continue watching and not be like actively mad at it, but it's just it's kind of nothing these 2 episodes.
Is it too
Um
extreme to call it like Chef Boyardee? Is that being too mean to Chef Boyardee? Where it's like I'm
it might
hungry,
be
I
too mean
really
to
need to eat
Chef
something.
Boyardee, yeah.
Yeah, SpaghettiOs. Is that like
I
SpaghettiOs are
like
good as a
SpaghettiOs,
kid?
but yeah, like that might be what they are. Like
The
because
Acolyte is the
and
SpaghettiOs
I'm
of the
defending it
Star.
by going, I like SpaghettiOs, but it's the same thing. I like Star Wars, but I like
Yeah. My guy Bob just fighting fucking. He's the last guy with his lightsaber just fighting the detractors,
yeah,
trying to keep it going. When's the last time you've had SpaghettiOs?
like a year or 2 ago.
Okay, okay, yeah, because I
Not
remember I
even 2
had
years.
them
Definitely like in the last year. Yeah.
probably in my mid 20s. I had them for the first time in years, and I was like, that sauce is way too sweet. That's basically pure sugar. I
It's
think you
real
like
yeah, it's
realize.
really sweet, yeah. I like the ones with the meatballs. I feel like the meatballs even out, like, the sweetness of
Mhm.
the sauce. But yeah, I am a SpaghettiOs person. My sister is too. Shout out my sister. Um,
This is not SpaghettiOs slander, by the way. I don't want anyone to think it's
no,
SpaghettiOs slander. Not at
but
all.
we all
Just
know
saying.
what SpaghettiOs are. Come on,
Yes,
like,
exactly, exactly.
yeah. So we see 16 years ago on Brendok, the Jedi are on this mission combing for any signs of life. They have a fucking like metal detector that you would bring to the beach, and they're looking for life as this planet had no life 100 years prior. So they're like, there's got to be something going on here. They're looking for the presence of a force vergence. And Torben, oh my God, he has a bad episode. He's being such a bitch about this mission. He just wants to go back home, want to go back to Coruscant. I'm tired of eating the noodles. They have to explain to him, hey, buddy, it's not about what you want. You're basically a fucking intern on this trip. Then you're lucky to be here. We're looking for a vergence in the Force, which could be a historic, huge, important thing in the entire galaxy. He is the worst in this episode. Good casting to cast like an incredibly hateable Game of Thrones character as this incredibly hateable Jedi. But yeah, just a bad episode for him.
King Tommen was not hated, Bob. He was like, you almost felt bad for him. I mean, the guy was
I
got.
didn't like him.
You
I
didn't like
know
him?
he wasn't it wasn't his fault. He was just Cersei's puppet, and obviously his brother was way worse. But like, he sucked.
Do you remember his cat, Sir Pounce?
I'm
It's a
not a
good name
cat
for a
guy,
cat.
but yeah, it's a
I'm not
good
a
name
cat
for
guy
a cat.
either. It's a good name for a cat.
Yeah.
But yeah, like this character is much worse than Tommen ever was. I'm not going to defend
Yeah.
Tommen either. Like you said, kind of a bitch. You're just like, he gets to bang Marjorie. Like that's such bullshit. But this guy, absolute pits. Also, I'm happy they let him say M count. We're just like, oh,
Yeah.
midichlorians. So I was happy he was probably uh in my like I've decided my canon, he was like trained by the Yord, like two just absolute losers, zeros.
Or no, Yorda is way younger, right? Because by the time Yorda is around, they put the Party City beard
Or
on
he
Torben.
okay, so then he trained Yord.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like that kind of like zero loser fun spongeness has to like those two stood out like sore thumbs compared to the
Yeah,
rest of the crew. I thought the
yeah,
green chick too. She stinks as well,
she
but she's a different
stinks.
kind of stinks. She's like
Vernestra.
the top of the York chart, like stink. She's just annoying because of her position. I think more than anything.
Yeah. So they're spying on the whole witch coven. They Soul spots the girls talking to Mother Coral in the forest, and they did a good job of showing a very skewed perspective of what's going on. Like where a lot of people were criticizing the Acolyte for being like, why are you saying the Jedi are the cause of their own failure and the Jedi are bad guys all of a sudden? It's like, well, that's kind of what George was getting at in the prequels. But they're not just like, they're not blatantly like dumb or like mean. They are seeing things from the wrong perspective here. It seems like they're being a lot more angry with the girls. It seems like they're being a lot more, not that they're slaves, the girls, but they're servants almost from Soul's perspective, where he's like, do they want to be here? Are they okay with all of this? Even when they bring him on the ship for training later, he's kind of and the Jedi are kind of saying like, is this something that was like indoctrinated? Is that oh god, that was I went for that
I'm
word.
gonna roll with you,
Indoctrinated?
Bob. I don't know.
Indoctrined? Indoctrinated?
No,
Ooh.
indoctrinated. Indoctrination is the
Okay, okay,
process of
okay.
teaching a person or group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically. Let's go! Basement boys are hot today with the vocab. That's like
But
sixth
yeah,
grade stuff.
that was sixth grade
That's middle
reading.
school
That
at
says it
least.
on the side of the book on the spine, sixth grade level. But yeah, the Jedi are not brainless. They're just getting things. They're just seeing things wrong every step of the way. Essentially, like this is like a mother and their children. Mother being a little stern, but it's not abuse. What they're seeing here.
They are like we say, like the Jedi are like the cops of the universe or whatever, the
Yeah.
galaxy. And these are kind of the guys that are just like, no, this is our rules, and if you don't go by our rules, you're fucked. And you can tell by the way they greet the Jedi, they see the Jedi as those kind of people. And we just had a bad situation, but yeah, it's a tough look. It's a real tough look for the Jedi. If I go watch the prequels right now, I might just like disband, like be done with the Jedi altogether because it's a tough stretch.
So then Saul goes to Endara and he tries to convince her to stop the Ascension ceremony. I don't think he knows it's called the Ascension ceremony yet, but he's like, we got to stop this. They're going to, turn them into witches or whatever. And
You
that
can get canceled for
scene,
this shit today.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
And then,
oh, this is our personal like religious beliefs. You
yeah,
can't do that, Saul.
no. That scene goes pretty much as we thought, but the one twist is when we saw the witches, we thought they were like holding Torben hostage at one point when his eyes went black. He's pretty willing in that process. He's kind of like giving himself over the second they step foot in the coven. And he's kind of like, ooh, what do these witches got to offer me? And Mother Anasaya is like in his head, knows about his past, knows about his history, knows where he was born, says, oh, you just want to go back to Coruscant, right? And he's willing. Again, a tough episode for Master Torben. Like he goes for the hat trick, really. In the beginning, he's being a bitch about the mission. In this, he gives himself over right away. And then later on, he's almost the catalyst for the whole thing when he grabs the speeder and he just fucking goes off without the permission of Endara or Sol or anyone in charge of him.
Hey man, we've all been there. We've all been on the road just a little too long. Like you said, you're eating. He's probably been sick of eating SpaghettiOs, right? It's like you're like, I just need to get home and just eat a home cooked meal, not be on the road, not be sleeping in a hotel or a spaceship or a fucking tent, whatever it may be. I understand that side of Torben altogether, but yeah, it's like you're just completely letting these witches just fucking make a puppet out of you. And can we, since you mentioned the speeder, did I watch this wrong? If they're like, Torben runs and they're like, go, stop him. And they both kind of like walk. And instead of like, if it's like, if you need to stop a Jedi, you just run, Jedi the fuck out of him with any of your Jedi abilities. I feel like
Yeah.
they didn't even try. It was the weirdest thing. I'm like, that scene was very odd to me. I could go rewatch. Maybe I watched it wrong, but it's like the fucking stormtroopers had more fucking pep in their step when they were running to their little speeders than Torben.
Especially when this show is like, we're paying homage to the Phantom Menace. We love the Phantom Menace. We're unabashedly, we're fans of it. The Phantom Menace is the one and only time they ever showed the Jedi have force speed. There's that scene in the beginning with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and the droidekas roll down the hallway at him, and they're like, "Oh shit, let's just get out of here." And they poof, basically, like down the hall, and everyone is kind of like, "Oh, they're the Flash. Jedi are just the Flash now, like Superman, like gone in an instant. They're A-Train from the boys." And then they never do that ever again. So yeah, it's strange, very strange.
There-
Also, I don't think the speeders looked very good CGI wise in this week. And like I could
yep.
excuse it because I love Return of the Jedi and the speeder scene in that looks the way it does. But there were some interesting scenes this week where I was like, ooh, that it like hit my eyes harsh.
They treated Torben getting on the speeder like I treat like when I'm really relaxed on the couch and like my kid gets something I don't want to have. Like, go get her. See, AJ has the plug in his hand. I don't want him going near the outlet with it.
So yeah, he gives himself over to Anasaya, and then they take the girls through the testing. Again, pretty much like we saw, but there was an added scene where I think it's Mae, might be Osha. I think it's Mae mentions this line about like, oh yeah, everyone must be sacrificed. And the Jedi look at each other, and again, this one I'm like, oh, okay, I understand where the Jedi are coming from. You hear a child be like, yep, we're gonna do a ceremony, and everyone's got to be sacrificed. They looked at each other like, what? Did she just say what I fucking think she said? Are they sacrificing these kids? Like, is this some kind of one was marked, but the other one wasn't? Is one of them about to be sacrificed? I could see how they could jump to a conclusion there. Although it is a quote we heard from Mother Anasaya in, I think, episode 3. It's really just like a quote taken in the wrong context. It's a quote about like confronting your fear and giving yourself over to, get over that fear. It's basically like the shit that Yoda's trying to tell Luke and Empire through a very different lens. And they're like, I
Mhm.
think we got to shut this shit down. These witches are going to kill kids.
It's like it. The whole, I think the whole dynamic that just has thrown me off with this. It's like they just stumbled upon it and then they felt like they knew everything immediately. And maybe
Yeah.
if they had more episodes or more time, they could have made it more of a, oh, like this really would, from the Jedi perspective, be someone they felt like they had to stop. I feel like they're just bothering a bunch of people doing their own thing. And it's like, it's not like they had the kids on a stone tablet with fucking like knives and they're like carving into their chest, being like, oh, they're gonna kill these kids. It was very much like the jump to conclusions map from Office Space, which is like a
Yep.
30-year-old reference at this point. So shout out to everyone who picked that one up.
And then Indara goes and she tells Soul, like, hey, I talked to the council. We can't take the kids. And this is a kind of interesting scene because I can't tell if she's telling the truth or not. Indara, like, she didn't want to really take them in the first place. I think there's a chance she didn't even call the council. And she's like, hey, we're just not taking these girls. They're too old, or we don't want to mess with the witches' coven. Maybe she knew a little about the witches and that they would retaliate. But she's like, we can't do it. Soul's pissed, and he doesn't really know what to do. He's just runs off. They find out the twins have the exact amount of metachlorians each, which is very strange and signals manipulation of some sort. So then Torben runs off like a bitch. He gets on the speeder and he fucking ruins everything for everyone. And we also saw when Mother Coral is bringing Mae out of the room when she's mad at Osha, we think, oh, I'm going to go calm her down. No. She's like, all right, let's fucking ramp up this anger. Get it out. Anger makes you stronger. Mother Coral, someone to, keep your eye on, because even in this episode, it's like, oh, everyone in the Witch's Coven is dead, but we didn't see her body. Sus,
Sus.
strange. But we get this whole scene where we finally see the reveal of what happened. The Jedi confront the mothers and ask how the girls were created. Mother Anasaya almost seems to know this is the end for her, because she doesn't give them like, oh no, please don't. It's more of like, you guys are fucking idiots and you're going to be the cause of your own downfall one day. And they're like, whoa, okay, I didn't know we were bringing this energy to the fight. And she, like, I guess, in the moment, makes everyone afraid. So lightsabers and guns get drawn, and everyone's like, we don't know who's going to strike first. She poofs herself. Is that a good way of putting it? I don't know what
Yes.
she was even really trying to do. I assume because May is poofed too into like black dust, black smoke. I assume she's just trying to teleport them to a safe place because she's like, oh, she could tell lightsabers drawn, guns drawn, bows drawn, shit's about to pop off. Soul is just startled by this. It's like when you go up behind Glenny Balls and you say, what's up? And he's like, whoa, whoa, immediately.
Does that happen to
Soul is
Glenny?
every time. Easily
I
startled
gotta
guy.
do
Yeah.
that next time I see him. I gotta do
So
that.
Soul, just the most easily startled Jedi in the world, kills her. And he's poof, stab. Just in the moment. That was his first instinct. Stab her in the chest with a lightsaber. Kills her, and she in her dying breaths is basically like, I would have given my kid to you anyway. Like, you fucking lunatic. I can't believe you just killed me. And then there's the whole fight where Mother Coral is pissed. She tries to fight Soul, who's like already upset at himself for what he did 3 seconds ago. So he's like, I will not fight you with my lightsaber. It's like, you just killed her wife with one. So that was, a whole thing. She poofs herself away and then makes the witches possess Kelnaka, which is actually, I thought this was kind of a cool scene. Like Kelnaka fighting them as a possessed black-eyed Wookiee with a lightsaber. I was like, all right, this is the Star Wars that I'm here for. The Star Wars I signed up for. And he's the one that gives Torben the scar on his face. We see some blood. I was like, all right, seeing some blood. They're not, doing the PG Star Wars again, whatever. But Coral probably alive. Everything else goes the way we thought. May burning down the temple or whatever. Pretty much what happened. But they were like, she only meant to burn down the notebook. Fucking stupid. Like whatever. Soul saves Osha, like we saw. He kind of made the choice. And then when they're back on the ship, Indara convinces everyone, like, hey, let's maybe not tell the council how that went down. Let's maybe say just like that crazy girl burned down the entire temple, and that was the end of that. So yeah, yes, it didn't go the way that they said, but it went pretty close to how they said, to the point where I was like, Torben killed himself over that? Like, wow.
Yeah. I thought maybe it'll be revealed in like episode 8, like maybe that whatever she got into his brain and when she died, it like haunted him and made it worse. I don't know, but that is like a crazy like that he went from where we see him to where he ends up before he kills himself. I want to say that was a tough look for us soldiers when Soul just
Yeah.
fucking kills this bitch, and she's like, "I was gonna give." Also, like, I was gonna help you. How the fuck am I supposed to know that? You turn into a smoke monster. Like, if you're turning into a smoke monster, it's
A shout out
usually
Lost.
you're trying to kill me. You're trying to do bad things to good people. So I can't even get mad. Also, just tough break for the fucking witch lady that as of like even the last Star Wars TV show, you get fucking a lightsaber to the chest. That's like barely even a flesh wound in this universe. Now it actually happens to kill you.
Yeah.
So that was just bad break for her. And also, like, again, my guy Saul looked bad there, killed potentially someone trying to help him out. However, he was like mankind taking those chair shots. He's just getting his ass. He's
Yeah,
coming
he
back for
was.
more. I was like, Saul, let's go. But then it's like, so wait, you don't want to use your weapon because you just killed an innocent person. But now, like, if you don't use your weapon, you're gonna die. It was a lot to take in. And listen, the
Yeah.
Kalnaka thing was cool. I was like, yes, we got the Wookiee finally using his powers. I would have liked to see the Wookiee use a lot more of his powers and his strength just to like fuck someone up. Even if it was like a 2-minute scene that had no
Yeah.
part in the rest of the story. I have to admit this though. Those witches swaying back and forth was just fucking weird. It looked like an animatronic at
I was
Disney.
all right with it. I
You're
was
all
all
right
right
with
with
it?
it, but now that you say that, like I'm not sure I'll be able to unsee the animatronic when I if I watched it back. But like,
Because the
yeah,
old
that
lady's in the
even
front.
when
The old lady's in the front. So it's like
yeah,
I see her first, and I'm like, that looks really weird. And then they're all doing the same thing. It's like It's a Small World ride in the Star Wars
yeah.
series.
Oh, and Indara shuts that off, and I think they all die when she shuts it off, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, honestly, let's just make our own story at this point. Like we can just
Yeah.
do whatever we want.
Like I think they all dropped and they were on the floor, unless they were passed out, and then the Jedi, or not the Jedi temple, the witch temple crumbling, maybe that killed them. But it seemed like as soon as she was able to like snap, kill, knock it out of it, they were just dead. And maybe she even knew that because she was like, Indara was super sus about the whole thing, which is funny because when we caught up with them 16 years later, obviously she's the first one to die, so she doesn't have like the time to be guilty about it, but she seems like she's over it. She's fucking
Yeah,
playing
very
cards
much
at a
over it.
bar, and like the rest of the Jedi are like Oppenheimer, like I can't believe what I've done. And she's just like, don't kill that bartender, but like, you move on to the next bar.
She's like, am I
That
going to make
was
another Matrix movie anytime soon? Like Trinity, give me
yeah,
staying power.
that was the Acolyte penultimate episode. We got one episode left. Do we think it's revealed Vernestra is Chimere's master? Do we think it's Mother Coral? Do we think he'll be revealed to be Knight of Ren or Plagueis? Do we think none of this will be revealed? His name will be Ralph Boner, and it'll be one of those things.
It better be something. I did not watch 8 episodes of this shit to not have it like walk away with something somewhat concrete. Whether it's something from the show that is, or it's something that is a Knights of Ren origin or whatever it may be. I need something. Just give me something
Yeah.
tangible I can hold, put in my pocket, and say that was the Acolyte's contribution to the Star Wars galaxy. I can live with that. I'm already not going to rewatch this shit ever again. So I just want something good from them. So, and I will say this: this last episode, you said that was like these are like a 3 out of 10. These last two, this one was like 4, and the other one's a 2, or like this one was I think a cut above because shit actually happened. Even though
Agreed.
a lot of it happened in like episode 1 or 2 or whatever when we first saw the flashback. So it's very weird how this is all played out the series.
And this episode did the flashback, but hid the child acting struggles better than episode 3 did.
Yes. And I will say this. So I think the Bear will do next week. The Bear does a lot of flashbacks in season 3 that are completely different that help build the story of everything. This just replayed the flashbacks that we already did. If the Bear did that in season 3, I'd be like, I want my money back from Hulu from the 1 month that I just bought it. This one, I wanted more. I think going to where we were with Kenjack for the rest of the season, I didn't see this coming. I didn't think they were just going to literally just play it back from almost the same angles too. It's not like we're seeing it from a different person's perspective. It's the same beats.
Yeah, so we will next week. We'll talk about the Bear, and we'll also talk about the boys up to where we are. I'm one. I think I'm one behind on the boys at this point. I have 2 episodes left of the Bear because they drop all of those at once. But next week we'll have it'll be kind of like a big mega episode to end a bunch of things before Deadpool and Wolverine.
You ready for it, Bob? You know what next week is called here in the basement?
What?
Finale week! It's finale week!
It is finale.
Hashtag finale week. We're going to do finale week. I mean, granted, just because Acolyte and the boys both happen to have their finales the same week. And then, like, the Bear, sure, that's its finale week, too, because that's when Bob finishes. It could be whenever you want, because it's a binge show. So, finale week, 3 finales, 1 week, and then we move into Deadpool season. That's how you market a fucking podcast right there, folks. And in the midst of all that, we have House of the Dragon just cooking with its best episode of the series that people are lumping with the Thrones best of the best. So, the basement is cooking right now. No thanks to the Acolyte, but we're still going to be part of finale week. We're still Acolyte. You have an uphill battle next week because you're going against
the boys and the Bear.
Shows.
Yeah. Good luck, Acolyte. Good luck. You know, it's also like early alphabetical finale week. Acolyte, boys, Bear. It's all we're sticking to early on in the alphabet. But real quick, the Bear has been getting shit on season 3, all dragged all over social media. I don't want to spoil my thoughts for next week. It is not worthy of that. It is not worthy of getting dragged at all. I think you could make an argument that it's a step down from season 1 or 2. Totally fine. I wouldn't really argue that. It is fantastic television, and it's a show where I'll tease a little thing for next week. My favorite episode of the season so far, I have 2 left, is a flashback episode.
Yes. Yep. I know what you're talking about. I'm all finished. The last 2 episodes, I think you'll be happy with. I do think I understand why some people are upset about certain things. 100%. A lot of the gripes are fair. I think it's reached a point where it's gone a little crazy where some of the gripes, but again, I like that universe. So it's like, and again, maybe it's because I'm watching shows like The Acolyte and all the MCU shows we watch. I'm like, I'm fine with this show. It's just, it's not season 2. I think we can agree on that,
No.
right? It's not
But
season 2.
even
The
even
second
the
half is
worst,
season 2.
yeah, the worst Bear episodes are still like a step above most other shows to me.
Yes, like these are the things that I always say. I got to talk to Jeff and Ken Jack about. It's like, I feel like the way it's shot and the way they like soundtrack some of the things. It's like, it's beautiful. It's like a beautiful show.
Yeah.
So that stuff is like above my pay grade. But I feel like it'll get a bunch of Emmys that won't be aired. It'll be like best photography and cinematography and shit like that. I think it will.
All right,
So
get excited, people.
Finale week, guys.
It's like WrestleMania, but for the basement. Well, actually, the week after next week with Deadpool and Wolverine will probably be more like WrestleMania. But also for that, so
that's night 2.
Yeah, that's night 2 of WrestleMania. Good way to put it. The week after, the week of the 22nd, Clem and I are going to be seeing Deadpool and Wolverine on the 22nd. We're going to try to do a live at HQ preview episode for the show. Shout out Skip. Tweeted us on Twitter. Was like, you guys should do a preview episode. I said, we'll do that. We'll pair it with our Logan recap. We'll rewatch Logan, do like half a recap, half a preview for Deadpool and Wolverine. We'll go see it. And then you'll have 2 Deadpool and Wolverine themed episodes that week.
Let's go.
All right. We'll see you next week for finale week.